In this lesson, what we're going to be looking at is the American reaction or response to the problems that they saw with the rebellion of immigration to America in the 1920s. I remember there was a mass exodus from Eastern Europe at the end of World War I, with many people wishing to escape poverty. But obviously in the American minds, it was a mass invasion of people who didn't fit the traditional stereotypes and demographics of the kind of people that they wanted moving in. These were not necessarily white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. Now, obviously, what one sees now when one looks at immigration are the modern parallels with the present day. So, in our own country, with immigration being a very contentious issue, let's initially start with the reasons that we have against immigration. Now, one example is provided. Can you think of any more? Additionally, what solutions are there to the problem of immigration? And what difficulties are there that lie with the problems of solving immigration? So that's your initial brainstorm. Moving on then, source work. We have a cartoon here from the United States in the 1920s. People being funneled in from Europe. Past immigration, interesting number being used here, Uncle Sam represented into the United States. Attitudes towards immigration have not changed that much. In the 1920s, there were large-scale waves of immigration from southern and eastern Europe. This led to concerns about the survival of the Anglo-Saxon race, the supremacy of the Anglo-Saxon race. So the US government, under the Republicans, attempting to achieve normalcy, introduced immigration control. And what we're going to look at today are those policies, what they were, and whether they were successful. Okay, so immigration in the 1920s, why was it a problem? What did the government do? Why was the government so opposed? You should have a grounding with those already. You will have described attitudes. You should have explained why immigration was considered a problem, what made it a problem, and you might have judged how tolerant the United States was. Okay, so you'll then do the matching activity. And then read the statements that we have here, colour code them according to the key below. Political reasons, social reasons, or economic reasons. Next, choose the 10 most relevant out of the 15, beg your pardon, that you've been provided with, and put them into the... So it's not just a question of recall, it's a question of being to establish that hierarchy that we talked about constantly for the top-end performance at GCSE. We're now moving into A-levels, routine. More than just recall, you have to be able to establish a hierarchy. Why is one more important than the rest? Why are the others consequently not as important as the ones above them? You've got to support your argument, but also put down the counter-arguments. So why was the government opposed to immigration? Read and highlight sources 1 and 2. Explain the question. Explain why the government was so opposed to immigration. The extension, collect the source sheet, answer the question, how useful is the source to a historian investigating America's attitude towards immigration in the 1920s. Finally, pulling it together. Go to page 4 of your booklet. Based on what you've learnt today, mark on the line your interpretation. How tolerant was the United States in the 1920s? How tolerant was America in the 1920s? We talk in terms of rebellion and reaction. How much of a rebellion was there? How much of a reaction was there by the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant elite that ruled America? Mark it on your line, ranging from completely tolerant to not tolerant at all, to conclude.